Welcome race fans. This is Ron with Big Wizard TV, and we're going to try it again here. We have had a little bit of technical difficulty tonight, so we're going to do all of this over again. The race tonight is East to West Racing, and we are running here at Virginia International Raceway. This is the Formula Ford Open Wheel Clash, and I'm telling you what, this one's going to be a clash. We've got 16, 17 cars out here on the racetrack, and it is going to be crazy. We've got qualifying just underway, just on the out laps at the moment. 15 minutes of qualifying, and then we're going to run a quick 15-minute sprint race, and then we're going to get into the feature, which runs about a half hour. So we'll get all that through. A lot of good action for you coming up here. These cars are tough to handle. We'll see them go slipping and sliding all over the place as we get this thing going. But it's still a bunch of fun. A lot of fun to drive it. I am doing this post-race, so I am already done with the race, and the results are already done. So we'll pop up the information here on the screen as we go, and hopefully it'll track correctly. It's not always easy to get live scoring and timing when you are watching not a live event, so we'll see how that goes. But we do have the lap times coming across the top of the screen. As the drivers come across, you'll see that's the last lap they raced. That isn't quite accurate yet. You'll see it here populate as soon as the drivers start crossing the start-finish line. We've got everybody kind of out here. Richard Wishon is out in the front of the pack. He got out of qualifying first. He is followed by Emmett Lindquist here in the number 40. Check the colors so you kind of know who's who. Richard in purple and black this season as he comes across the line on his first, finishing up his outlap. Emmett running in the Dynaco blue Formula Ford, number 40. And then on the racetrack we have myself in the familiar orange and midnight blue, the number 17. And behind me is Rich Hibbs and the bundle. Quite a gaggle of cars here. Rich running in the white and blue familiar paint. Letting some of these other guys go by, getting some space to get this thing started. We've had a couple incidents here at the beginning, and Ryan had to go back to pits to get that going again. Alex off track here. Alex good, running the purple and white with the gold colored wheels. But we're getting it going, getting it started here. Brian, one of our new drivers, Brian Beeman, he's out here on the racetrack getting his outlap done. Had to go back in the pits and get it going again, but he is up and running. Let's check in on our leader, or our first driver. Comes across the line here, and I think he puts down a pretty good lap. But we'll see where the orders are and the numbers are here as we go. 18 drivers. TJ is number 18. Richard 204.4 so far. Rich with a 2 flat. We'll see how the numbers aren't going to be quite accurate here until they get a couple laps in. But we'll keep an eye on them. First lap usually counts as going across the stripe. I also won't be able to do any replays or camera angle specific changes on replays simply because this whole thing's a replay, and if I try to change the camera, it'll change it to different times in the universe, so it doesn't work well. The lap times are not coming through the way they're supposed to. Oh, that's the last lap. Okay. That's just showing the last lap. Let me see if I can get the standing screen up there and see if that will actually show us what's going on. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Okay, Rich Hibbs showing the fastest at 2 minutes 4. Myself 2 minutes and 1. 2 minutes 2:01.4. A second behind Rich. Richard and Emmett haven't got a lap in yet. Probably just warming up those tires for a couple laps. Some 201s there in the middle. 202s. Let's see if we can find out anything else going on. Here's Vincent. And we also have a brand new driver out here. This is Aoki Kyo. Sorry about that. It's not Aoki. It's Akio Kyo. Hails from Brazil. Joining us for the first time from iRacing. Found us out on iRacing. So welcome, Akio, to our group. Thanks for joining us. Getting his car tuned in here. These are all running fixed setups. You can't make any changes. You can't even change the amount of fuel you got in there. So that's it. You race it the way it runs. So this is Akio, and then in the number, he'll be in the number 5. That's the red and white paint. Rich Hibbs, white, blue, and black in the number 15. Number 16, Aunt Karen out there, the black and yellow, the green rims. Myself in the familiar orange, white, and midnight blue. The 18 of Kevin. Right now, Kevin has the 18 car. He is not on the racetrack. 19, Gray Welch in the gray car tonight. 21, Vincent Tramontana, also in familiar orange and black. Number 23, oh, that wasn't good for 23. That was Doug into the wall. And the 40, Emmett Lindquist. 41 is Brian Beeman, who's been around for a few weeks now, running this series with us. 64, Uncle Don. Uncle Don on the racetrack with that really nice looking orange, black, and white paint job. The 74 of Rick Wishon. Rick always in the familiar black and green paint. Coming into turn 1 here. We got 8 minutes to go. The times are starting to come in, but they're still not showing correctly yet. So we'll give them a little bit. 79, Alex Good, purple and white. Out on the racetrack. 83, yellow, very familiar yellow Tires Plus paint job from TJ Allman. And the 86, this is the yellow JNR Craftworks, yellow and blue JNR Craftworks paint job from Jeff Wyatt. The number 95, newly tagged number 95, this is Brett Fay. Changing from the 317 number to this new number 95, that is from his son Max. Max born on September 5th. Number 95. 616, this is Ryan Fry. He is our last season champion from the GR86s, I believe, as he's squirreling through the NASCAR bend, they call it. And then 974, we already saw him earlier, Richard Wishon. Richard coming across the line here. We'll see how he does on this lap. A lot more 201s now. Richard comes across with a 159.9, quickest lap so far, puts him at the top of the pile. This car is as loose as any car I've ever driven. It spins around at will, on its own, just because it wants to. As you can see by the car design, no downforce. It's just a little tube. It does have some side pods that help it out a little bit, little stability there, but that's about it for downforce. It's all mechanical drive, mechanical grip. Those tires sticking way out, giving you some really good stability. But under power and under, it comes around quite easily. It just does. So keep an eye on this as we go. Richard Wishon up in the front. Oh, and Emmett just dropped in a 159.556. Emmett to the point. So we're watching Doug Wright. Doug Wright in the number 23 hails from Australia. Good to have Doug on the racetrack with us. Friday morning for him, Thursday night for the rest of us. And Doug trying to get a quick lap in. 209 is the best he's done so far. Hoping to do a little better. Uncle Don being chased down by Brian Beeman. Uncle Don with a 207.5 so far. Brian with a 201.4. during qualifying, tough to get by somebody that's trying to do their quali lap. You don't want to mess them up. You don't want to cause a problem. But you do want to get by. So we'll see how this goes. They might have a little dispute on who's owns the racetrack as they get going here. Up the S's. Down into South Bend they go, and then into Oak Tree. This is Oak Tree here, the double apex left-hander. It's a very difficult corner. Oh, and there's, that looks like Akio back there spinning. And see, if you don't have the corner, if you don't get the corner just right on, dead on, then the car in front has the advantage. They get off that corner first. You do get a lot of draft on these cars, though. You can see that Brian is catching right up to the back bumper, or back engine transmission housing, bell housing there of the number 64. Rick, 2 minutes flat, 2 minutes point, 2:52. Up in that top 5. Richard now has run a 1:59.4, putting him at the point. Emmett, 1:59.5, and Rich with a 1:59.9. Rick, 2 minutes flat. Myself with a 2:01.0. Gray, 2:01.1. Akio, 2:01.2. Brian, 2:01.4. Wow, everybody's really, really close together. 2 seconds separate the top 8 drivers with just 3 minutes to go in the qualifying session. Ooh, that's possibly an off track there for Rick. He may not get that lap to count. Not sure who's still out there trying to get laps in. Here's Ryan. And these guys just starting their final lap. This is going to be, well, there might be enough time for Alex to do another one. And probably Richard. Rich is going to be close. We'll see if they do have enough time. We'll see how it goes. Our current pole sitter, Richard Wishon, we'll watch him go around. Just dropped in a 1:59.329. He's got it dialed in. Takes a few laps for the tires to warm up, and once they do, these guys really know how to throw the car around. Little bump there off of, that was turn 4, I believe. No, turn 3. Oh, and he's off. He is off. That is dunzo for him. As we're watching Rick come across the line. Does he improve? 2 minutes, .252. And no change. No change for Rick. 2 minutes. .252. Not enough time to go around again. There's only 1 minute and 49 seconds left, and that's not enough to get through a lap. Uncle Don finishing up his lap, coming down through the roller coaster and into Hogpen. This little section here is called Hogpen. I'm not sure the history on it. I'm sure at one point in time it was a farm and there was probably a hog pen there. So I'm not going to guarantee it, because I don't know the area and I don't know the story, but here he comes across the line, Uncle Don with a 2:05.2. Does he improve as he comes across the finish line? 2:05.2 does not change. That is it. That's going to be it for him. I know Ryan was trying to improve and get a better lap. He's at 2:02.6. As we see a couple other cars come across the line. Aunt Karen comes across. And Ryan crosses the line with a 2:01.9. Gets into the 2:01s. Right there at the end of qualifying. Alex did make it across in time. We still got 50 seconds. Alex coming across the start-finish line. Does he improve? Right now, running no time at all. We'll see if he gets a time. As he comes across the start-finish line, 2:04.978 for Alex. And Richard was off. How about Rich? Rich Hibbs has a chance here. Has a chance to take the pole. Does he get it? He's got a good run here down the front stretch. He's current time, best time 1:59.9, comes across the line. And no change, does not improve. And that is going to be it for qualifying. 11 seconds left. I don't think that's enough time for Rick to get to the stripe. He's going to try it. He's going to give it all he's got. The clock is most likely going to run out on him right there, and qualifying is over. He could see the stripe, but he couldn't get to it. So we got a little bit of a warm-up here for 3 minutes. We're gonna, oh no, we're gonna jump into the heat. Heat's next. Let's line them up. Line them up and get them going. As they start to populate the grid. 18 drivers pulling up on the starting grid here. Getting ready for this battle. I'm not seeing a good camera angle here, so we'll stay right here. They're going to start up at, looks like we're starting on the back stretch, and we're going to drop into roller coaster, and then through hog pen, and then across the line. Rolling starts with the Formula Ford, Formula 1600. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Want to do a big shout out here from Big Wizard TV to our sponsors. Stair Fittings Incorporated keeps us on the air, keeps us running, keeps us rolling here with everything we need to be successful. Thanks to them. Also, JNR Craftworks putting out our trophies and other items. They make a lot of crafts and things you can hang on your wall. Really great stuff though. Laser cut wood, acrylic. He makes shirts, all different kinds of stuff. Check them out, jnrcraftworks.com. Links are in the description. Please like the video and give me that thumbs up as we get started here with the sprint. Also, I want to make a shout out to our other sponsor, which is Grandpa's Kitchen. Grandpa's Kitchen makes a 1-to-1 flour substitute for gluten-free, as a gluten-free product, and it is incredible. Tastes great. You can get 10% off using the code BWTV when you put in your order. There's a spot for a discount code. BWTV gives you 10% off, and that's every order. Check them out, grandpaskitchen.com. Here we go. We're getting them lined up. We've got Richard and Emmett out front, Rich and Rick row 2, myself and Gray on row 3, with Akio, Brian, Ryan, and Brett making the top 10. You can see the cars just right here bunched up together. We're going to have a rolling start. Everybody's looking pretty clean here. The line's looking good. And we'll see when Richard hits the gas here in the 974. As soon as the green light goes, he is on it, and you'll hear him. There they go. Green, 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 and off they run. As they dive down into turn 1. The battle there for the lead. Emmett trying the inside, Richard on the outside. Emmett is going to take the point 4 now. Sprint race is just 8 laps long, or 8 laps short, I guess you could say. As these guys all right together, the pack going through the S's. Up the long S's. It's going to drop down into South Bend here at the top. Here we go through the S's. Cold tires sliding around. Emmett followed closely by Richard. First and second. Ooh, Emmett goes a little wide, but hangs onto that corner. That is the famous Oak Tree corner. As now they're coming down the long straightaway. And coming down the straightaway, still just in a big gaggle, big pack of cars here. Everybody's still just right together. Back up to the point. Richard has taken the lead. A 15-minute sprint race gets you about 8 laps. As these guys running nose to tail at the front. Brian Beeman gets past Gray Welch on that exit. And he is now the owner of P6. Richard hanging out front, but Emmett. Oh, and Ryan Fry's dropping through the order. Ryan Fry falling back. Lost a few spots there. And regrouping back there with Gray Welch. This is up front for the lead. Richard, Emmett, and Rich right together. Starting to pull away from Rick and myself. I am back a little ways here with Brian in tow. Akio in P7 and Brett in the new number 95. Battling it out with Kevin Cantonio. Kevin in the black with orange trim paint job. Olympus paint. Does that say John Player Special? It's the wrong color. It's supposed to be yellow, I believe. Whoa, a little wiggly there. A little wiggly in Oak Tree. The draft is real. You can get behind somebody and really pull in on them here. Down this long straightaway, as you can see, Rich Hibbs has got by Emmett and is going for the lead here as they drop down into roller coaster, trying to go side by side. Not really enough room there to do it, but he's going to do the over-under here and try to get Richard unaware. But Richard defends well and holds the position as these guys going through to finish up lap number 2 through Hog Pen and up to the start-finish line. The top 3, you can throw a blanket over them. They aren't going anywhere. Running nose to tail up at the front. Not much change at the moment, except myself. I spun and went way back in the field. So I guess that was some change. Akio moves up to P4, and Kevin Cantonio still making passes here. We probably had to find him. He's in an unfamiliar number tonight. He's still out there putting them down, picking up the spots. Kevin moving up in P5. Akio's next on his radar. The battle up front is tight. Super, super tight. As Brian given a battle here to Kevin. Kevin got by, but Brian's not letting him go. This is for 5th position. As Kevin grabs the NASCAR curve there and through the short S's. These are the short S's, and then we have the long rolling S's here up the hill. Snake, they call those little short S's. They do call NASCAR Bend, they call it left hook on this map, but if you watch a broadcast of the real race, they call it NASCAR Bend. And it looks to me like Kevin has pulled away now, and he is in sole possession. Oh, Emmett out in the dirt on the exit of Oak Tree there. Will that be enough for Richard to get by with the draft? And a little bit of help there. Oh, he's right up on him. There goes Richard out to the outside as they drop into roller coaster. Richard nose in front. Does he have enough? He's got the preferred line. That's actually a preferred line entering into roller coaster, and he does get the lead back from Emmett Lindquist. '74, Rick Wishon hanging back. Rich Hibbs had an issue. He has dropped back in the pack. We'll go back and check on him. He might be moving back up, but had a little issue, went off the racetrack, and is back in P10. Battle here between me and Alex in the back. We're battling for the last spot as I've spun a couple times at this point and am not doing very well. But look at this draft. I thought it was amazing how good this draft is. Pulled right up on the back bumper, or whatever that's called. And take the spot away going into roller coaster. P17 is not the most exciting or thrilling spot on the racetrack, but it is for position. Let's see if Kevin has caught up with Akio. He's almost there. He's getting there. He has definitely pulled away from Brian. Brian had a spin, and he is back to 9th. Kevin carving him out, moving up through the field. Rich Hibbs has moved back up to P8 already. And the number 15, and it looks like he might be trying to get another one here with Ryan Fry. Coming through Oak Tree. Oh, he gets a good run there, and Emmett takes the spot away from Richard again as they hit the top of the long straight and dive into roller coaster. That seems like it's going to be going back and forth. Here comes Rich in the preferred spot alongside Ryan Fry, and Rich is in front as they drop into roller coaster. Takes away P7. Oh, and he gets wiggly, and Ryan gets back by. That might have been due to a car in front of them backing out, but Richard back in front again. And that battle at the front is side by side. Here goes Emmett around the outside of turn 1. Very, very hard to do, but does it nonetheless and takes the spot back. Richard had it just momentarily going across the stripe. These two guys definitely have this car and this track figured out. Running out front with the gap, Richard and Emmett. Rich Hibbs still on the bumper here of the 616. Ryan Fry, looks like Rich has at least the speed to catch him. Does he have enough to get by him? Coming through the snake and up through the S's. Oh, he's going to try the inside. This is not easy to do. Oh, and Ryan gives him room, and Rich goes around the outside as they go into the first of the S's. They drop here down into the section right before Oak Tree, in the South Bend, and up into Oak Tree. And Rich has the spot. Rich up to P7, carving through the field. With the draft off of Oak Tree into roller coaster, Richard takes the spot again. I think it's going to be who is in the second place car as they exit Oak Tree. As they exit Oak Tree, if whoever's in second at that spot will get will get ahead on that long straightaway, and then it's just going to be a drag race here to the stripe when they get there. This is lap 6, now starting lap 7. Richard out in the front. As you can see, it's just a drag race into one. Emmett has figured out this outside of turn one, but doesn't have enough grip out there to hang on. Probably a little bit of marbles out there. And in between the heat and the feature, there is a little bit of a break. I'm going to, well, I don't know if I can change computer software. We'll just let it run. Oh, and Richard goes wide, but hangs on to it. Look at that save. Whoa, what a save as Rick comes alongside. Is he going to get by? He does. Rick takes over P2. Let's see if he can hold on. There are only 2 laps to go here. Rick might be able to hold on for second spot there. That is going to be close. Struggling in the back. Struggling. Mr. Keogh in 5th position here in the number 5. Whoa. And wide, and Oak Tree spins it around. He's going to have to get that corrected as he lets Rich Hibbs take another spot. As Rich has gotten by Brett as well. Rich up to P5 with that mistake there by Akio. That puts Rich up in the top 5, and that'll be a good starting spot for him in the feature. Is when we get done with this little quick sprint race, we are going to do it all again in the feature race. And that one is for a lot more points. As they're coming across the stripe again, Richard uses that draft and the momentum and gets by into P2 again. Rick back to P3. Oh, and Richard spins in turn 1. Oh, that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt. Let's see if he can get that going again before he gets caught. Because Kevin is right there now. You can see him on the screen. Kevin within a second and a half now of P3. And that's pretty much, this is lap 8 of 8. That pretty much gives Rick that P2 as long as he can hold on and no mistakes. Emmett out front. Rick in second spot coming through. Richard in third with Kevin in tow. P4. Emmett running the Dynaco Blue down the long stretch, comes out of Oak Tree. Everybody nice and neat and tidy on this final lap here at the front. As my final mistake happens right here. Coming around, and that finishes it up for me. Just not a race. Not a good race for me. Here we go. Emmett coming across the stripe, or coming through roller coaster and into hog pen, and then across the stripe. Emmett out front. It looks like he's going to take this one. Emmett across the line first. There's the checkered flag. Rick in second position. Rich holds on for third, followed by Kevin in fourth. Rich Hibbs is going to take P5. And then the battle here for P6 between Ryan and Brian. Brian Fry holds on for sixths. Akio, our newcomer, holds off Brett Fay, and that is for P7. Brett in P8 and Brett in ninth. Vincent Tramontana comes in P10. That's going to do it for the heat race. We're going to go ahead and do it. Well, not going to do it because we still have to wait for everybody else to come across the line. There's a few cars still cruising around out there. We've got the 83 and the 86 battling back and forth here. Gray Welch just came across the stripe. And now the old guy racing 86 and 83 coming across. And that is for 12th and 13th. And Doug Wright takes 14th. I think, I'm not sure, but I think TJ ended up in 12th. Okay. All right. A couple more finishing up. Aunt Karen coming through. And Uncle Don slowing. This is after the race is over. There's Aunt Karen hitting the brakes. And that is it. That is it for the race. We're going to line them up and do it again after a 3-minute warm-up. We'll go ahead and fast forward through this so we can get to the regular race. Bernie up in the booth there. As we're going to line them up here, warm-up is over, and we're going to line them up here as they get started for the feature race. In order of finish, that's going to put Emmett, Rick, Richard, Kevin, Rich, Ryan, Brian, Akio, Brett, and Vincent, your top 10. As we're going to line them all up here on the front stretch. It's not the front stretch. They're in the middle of the back stretch. My bad, my bad. We're rolling starts. So once we get everybody on the racetrack, we're going to roll along here and get this show on the road. At Virginia International Raceway, East to West Racing, brought to you by Big Wizard TV. And this is Ron in the broadcast booth. And we are sponsored tonight by Stair Fittings Incorporated. Thanks again for tuning in and watching the feature. We're just about to get started. As soon as the last car drops into the field, the pace car will start to pull away, and the cars will be right behind. It looks like it is really close at this point. Waiting for the final car to drop into the field. Keep an eye on our leader, as here we go. Emmett Lindquist out front, Rick on the outside of the front row, Richard and Kevin. Richard in the familiar purple colors. Kevin running a new number tonight in the black and orange John Player Special car. The number 18. He should have his number 5 back next week. Number 15, Rich Hibbs there, alongside Ryan Fry in the 616 as we get this all lined up. Ryan Fry with the very familiar pink and teal color combination. Brian Beeman in the white and gray with a little orange tip there, and Akio in the white and red iRacing sponsored machine. Brett Fay and Vincent Tramontana right there behind him, and here we go. We're waiting for the green, and it's pretty bunched up there. Everybody's right together as we get close to there. There it is. Green flag is out. We will watch the Dynaco blue car go into turn 1 in the lead. I think everybody gets through this one cleanly. Looks like they do. It might not last long. These open wheel cars with these big wide stances on them, it doesn't take much to bang a wheel and spin it around and flip it right over on its top. I apologize for not having the actual race chat. The chatter during the race was incredible. It was really fun. With the technical difficulties I had tonight with the streaming computer, I was not able to broadcast live, so I apologize for that. I suppose I could have taken the piece that I did broadcast and overlaid it on top of this one, but I can't find it, which is really strange. It's out there. It said it recorded, but it doesn't have a place. Richard, off track, drops back to P5. Oh, and Kevin also off track. Everybody's sliding around on the lap 1 here with the cold tires. Oh, and some contact there. There's some heavy contact, and the number 5, that's Akio. He is around. And he is together there with the 21 Vincent Tramontana, and that looks like damage to those cars. They are going to be hurting and have to come back into the pits. I think Gray may have also been caught up in that. Maybe Brian falling back in the order, I think. No, that was 21. That was Vincent. Vincent falling back in the order. He is back to the back. Jeff Wyatt moving up. And for some reason, I got through that unscathed. A lot of action there. And I pulled up into P9 with that one. And more cars. Oh, there's some going in the pit lane. That's the 41, Brian Beeman, coming through the pit lane. A couple other cars going through there as well. Uncle Don and Gray Welch coming down the front stretch together. Gray takes that spot away into turn 1, and that's for P11. After just one lap. Quite the carnage at the beginning of that one. See if they can get back out there and get it going, and if they can get enough fuel. There's not enough fuel to go the whole race here in the car at the beginning, so if you make a stop, even on lap 1, you might be able to get enough fuel in it that you don't have to stop again. I think that's the hope of these drivers. Richard chasing Rick, chasing Rich. It's Rich, Rick, and Richard. Your top 3. Nose to tails, they go up through the S's and into roller coaster, or into South Bend, sorry, and then into Oak Tree. Coming around, everybody pretty much doing the same thing. It's, I guess, to keep the speed, you got to run the same thing the guy in front of you is running. Just wait for mistakes. Kevin Cantonio in 4th. Emmett moves up to... That moves Emmett up to P7. One little bobble with Emmett behind you. That's all it takes. Here comes Richard making a move on Rick, and he takes that spot away. That is good for P2 as they finish up lap number 2 of 15. This one's 15 laps for the feature race. About 30 minutes total for the race. And currently Rich leading Richard, leading Rick. I guess you have to have a name that starts with Rick, R-I-C, to be in the front of this race. Richard with the draft, trying to get around the outside. Nice block there by Rich as they dive into turn 1. Both cars doing better now. The tires are starting to get warmed up as they're on lap 3 of 15. I hope all the audio and everything's working on this. It looks like it is. I sure hope it is, because I don't want to have to do it again. If I have to do it again, I'm just going to let the video play and record it. I think it's fine. Coming through Oak Tree, we're watching from the nose camera here of Richard Wishon. This is Richard in P2. It shows him in P3, but this is actually P2. Jeff Wyatt has gone to the pits with the tow, so he shows in P1, but that'll change. But look at this draft as he comes up the hill. Rich tries to shake him, but there he goes. As the two of them go side by side, the draft is real. As Richard gets out in front into roller coaster and has the lead. Change for the lead. Richard Wishon takes the point at the end of lap 3 here as they drop down into roller coaster and through hog pen. And this one swaps back and forth, I believe, almost every lap as they go. They've changed it so far. This is the first time the lead has changed. Look at Rick coming right up on the back of Rich. He is going to try to get him into turn 1. He's on the outside. Richard's got the preferred line. Rick around the outside, and that puts Kevin right on the gearbox of Rick, and that's for 3rd. First through fourth right here together. These guys know what's going on. They know what is up. Jeff Wyatt does plummet through the field as he is in the pit lane, getting some repairs. Number 40 of Emmett is also in the pits. This could be a strategy move from Emmett Lindquist, getting some fuel. You need about 2 or 3 gallons of gas to get to the end. And that might be a move there by Emmett on lap 3, on the end of, or the beginning of lap 3, to get that fuel in there and move up without having to stop again and see if he could do a little undercut on these guys. Clear track, less cars. Brett Fay having a little bit of trouble early on, but has also gone in the pits, gotten the car fixed, and got some fuel, and he's back on the racetrack here in P13 as Akio gets past Jeff Wyatt for P15. Back up front, Richard Wishon ahead of Rick Wishon. And look at this, Kevin Cantonio coming in, trying to take away the spot. Look at that, he's right on the bumper. There's no bumper. Right on the gearbox. On Sundays, we run GT3 cars. They have bumpers. No bumpers here. You touch anything, you need to go to the pits and fix it. Cars are made of fiberglass, or not fiberglass. Fiberglass would be too strong. I'd say the cars are made out of China glass. Touch anything and it breaks. 4 cars right together as they go past Jeff Wyatt, still in the pit lane. Here comes Kevin trying to go around the outside. Rick blocking that move is Richard and Rich into turn 1, nose to tail, literally, nearly touching as they go through the first corner. Rick trying to hold him off. Kevin trying to get by. He really wants that P3 so he can go after these leaders. Excellent racing here as these guys coming around through the S's and up into South Bend. They drop down in here, around into Oak Tree and down the long stretch. Does anybody have enough to get a run, or is it just the draft train and everybody's going to stay in line? We'll find out. There's just 7/10 of a second separate, or 9/10 of a second separate first to third. It looks like Kevin might have a run here on Rick as they're coming down into roller coaster. Kevin's on the inside. He's got that preferred spot and takes away P3 from Rick Wishon, putting Kevin in the podium positions, and he's going to try to run these guys down. The Rick party is over as Richard, Rich, and now Kevin in third spot. Rick might be able to fight back on that. He does have that draft from the back, and the guy Kevin does have to slow down slightly with these guys battling in front. Rich coming across the stripe. Looks like Rich had the point at the stripe. And turn 1, Rich around the outside, Richard on the inside, preferred line. Richard takes that away. And Kevin trying to go through with him. Rich is saying, I don't think so, pal. He takes the inside of turn 2. Through the horseshoe and into NASCAR Bend here, and Richard, Rich, Kevin, and Rick in line. I have a feeling we're going to see more of the same. We're going to go up the S's. They're going to stay in line, or maybe not. Rich looks like he's going to battle this going up the hill, but oh, he goes off the racetrack. That's going to slow him down just enough that Richard's going to pull back in front, and Kevin is going to try to take advantage of that, but cannot yet get that spot. And here we go. Who will have the advantage at the top of the hill as they dive into roller coasters? They're going along this long straightaway. Kevin with a run on Rich. Kevin going for P2. He currently has the spot, but Rich has a good run here. It's just going to depend on who's got the inside position as they make the right-hander into roller coaster. The left-hander is the advantage, Kevin. Oh, Kevin backs out. Oh, maybe he was hoping Rich would spin there. It's so easy with that corner being off camber. It banks the wrong direction, and it's real easy to spin out there and lose it. Let's try to go through the field. Hopefully we don't miss anything up here in the front. Up front, as you can see, Richard Wishon at the point. Rich Hibbs in second spot. Kevin Cantonio in third in the black and orange car. Rick Wishon in 74. He is in P4. Ryan Fry is running in P5, pretty much by himself out there. 10 seconds before him and 10 seconds after him to the next cars. Ryan in P5, sorry. And then I managed to get back up to P6 here. I'm sure I'll make a mistake and drop back again, but up to P6 after the really bad start, started 17th. And Alex in the 79 runs in P7, followed by Gray Welch. Gray's had a couple really fast laps. Fastest lap with a 2:01.4. One of the quickest up in the front. Quickest car outside the top 5. Just by a hair, though, because Brian Beeman also matches that time. Uncle Don currently in P9. And Brian, did Brian? No, just lost a couple spots there. Probably just them coming across the line. Uncle Don, then Aunt Karen. And she's being chased down by Brett Fay. That's Brett right there in the purple and orange car. He's going around the outside of turn 1 a little bit. Tries to get that run. See if he can get him going into turn 2 here. Not quite. Aunt Karen throwing down a good driving line, making it hard for anybody to get around. And Brett seeing that. And if you have to change your line or change your direction with this car, it only takes a touch. It only takes a touch to lose control and lose the car. Just go 1 millimeter past where you normally were, and you can come right around sideways without even thinking about it. Brett Fay right there in P10. Brett trying to get by. Oh, Karen loses it. Karen goes wide. Lets Brett and Brian go by. Brian in the 41 is now after Brett Fay. See if he can get him. So Brett in 10th. Brian in 11th. And Karen now back to 12th. And Emmett in the Dynaco car running in 13th. Or 12th. No, he's in 12th. Aunt Karen let him by already. Aunt Karen drops back. She must have had a bad corner there. And Doug Wright in 23 is right behind Aunt Karen. As they come up the long backstretch and drop into roller coaster. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Doug goes wide. He was on their tail, but not now. Doug goes wide and drops back. Aunt Karen gets back in front. Akio, after his early error, is moving up through the field. He's up to P14. And he has already made his pit stop. So that's it. He doesn't have to stop again. He will be making up any kind of positions he can as he's running down Doug right now. Aunt Karen has dropped back to 15th. Vincent Tramontana, I don't know if he's still... Yeah, he's still out there on the racetrack. And Jeff Wyatt in the 86 car. And TJ Allman has retired the vehicle. They have pulled it into the pits and parked it. Back up to the front. Here's Rich Hibbs and Richard Wishon. Look at this. It's still going on. I can't imagine. And that's Kevin Cantonio in third. Rich out front. Richard in second. Kevin, followed by Rick, Ryan, myself, Alex, Gray, Uncle Don, and Brian are your top 10. Let's go back here to this battle for Uncle Don. Oh, maybe not. Where's Brian? Brian's 10 seconds back. Uncle Don's on his own. I thought the battle was close, but it doesn't seem to be. It looks like the gap is 10 seconds back. Uncle Don running in the top 10. As the order changes as they... Oh, and there's Kevin. Kevin spins. He gets it going again. Rick gets by. Lap 9 of 15. That's going to be tough to come back from. But these two guys up front, Richard and Rich, just battling back and forth and back and forth. Coming up on lap traffic now on lap 9. This is farther than we've gone we went in the sprint. So this is unknown territory as they're catching up to the lap cars, or the back runners. Vincent, not normally considered a back marker, but out here on the racetrack right in front of the leaders after an incident early on. He has come in the pits already, so he doesn't have to make another stop. Nobody in the pit lane at the moment. And the best battle on the racetrack is right behind Vincent here with Richard and Rick. Just within 0.4 of a second of each other, right behind him. Rich with the draft up the hill. Does he have enough to get by as they drop into roller coaster? Not this time. Richard locks up the back tire, the back left tire, just a little bit, going through roller coaster. Enough to throw out a little puff of smoke, but not enough to let Rich by. As these two guys still going nose to tail around the track. This is starting lap number 10 and 15. We got 6 to go, and this has not stopped from the moment the green flag flew. These two guys back and forth, coming around, trying to get it. Richard has turn 1. Rich still on the outside. Rich has turn 2. Still side by side. It looks like Rich is going to take it here in turn 3. And then they go through the snake with Richard out front. Rick in third. You can see the other guys in front of him there. He's about 3 seconds behind the leaders. As these guys are starting to catch up with Vincent. Tight battle for the lead as they come in through South Bend and around. Uncle Don gets by me as I drop back. I think I spun. Nope, went in the pits. Went in the pits for fuel. As the number 95, that is Brett Fay, gets by. And that is for P11 after the pit stop. Rich Hibbs holds off Richard Wishon up front as they go down into roller coaster one more time. We've got 5 to go as they cross the stripe. They're coming down through Hog Pen here, and they will be across the stripe in no time. And they have caught and passed Vincent Tramontana. Rick and Kevin, top 4. Ryan in 5th position as those guys side by side here down into turn 1. Richard on the outside, Rick on the inside, and Rich takes the advantage and keeps the lead. There's the undercut, trying to get around the other side, over and under there. Richard around the outside of this one. Rich has the good positioning, and Rich has the lead. As Richard still in tow. We're on lap 11 of 15, just less than 5 laps to go here in the contest. We'll leave your camera battle right here at the top, and we'll see how it goes. off of Oak Tree. Back on the long straightaway. This seems to be where the passes can happen if they do. Rich has been holding them off for the last couple laps. Richard does get alongside, but can't make it stick. This time he does hold on. He's back in the front here as they go down into roller coaster. Will Rich be able to just snag it right back at the start finish? We'll see who has the best exit out of Hogpen and see how this goes. Right now with 4 to go. Oh, and here comes Richard into the pits. That's a fuel stop. We're going to have to keep an eye on that to see where... No, that's Richard. And Rich stayed out. We'll have to see if Rich comes in next lap. Rick also in the pits. Kevin stayed out. That gives Kevin clear track to catch up with Rich Hibbs. Currently 3 seconds the gap. Can Kevin close it up? He had a little incident early on in the race that set him back a little bit, but he is really flying out there and trying to catch Rich Hibbs. Positions are changing now with the couple of the lead cars in the pit lane. Richard Wishon and Rick Wishon. Coming back out on the racetrack now, those guys hold on to their positions almost. Looks like Ryan Fry got by. Alex Good is not going to make it past before they get back on the track, so only one position lost. And I'm guessing Ryan still has to pit. Yes, he does. No pit yet for Ryan. Rich might be able to save fuel. I think somebody was saying they were able to save fuel to make it to the end without stopping. That would prove to be victorious if you could do that. I don't think it's practical with the car. The cars were about 5 or 6 laps short. So I think he's got to be running pretty close to the end of the tank here. As they come across the stripe, they're going to have 3 laps to go. Rich out front. Kevin still right there at 3 seconds back. Ryan in third. He's 20 seconds off the lead. Followed by Richard and Rick, both 30 plus after their pit stops. Rich, Kevin, and Ryan, none of them have yet to pit. So this, oh, and here he goes. Rich is in the pit lane. And Kevin comes with him. What is Ryan going to do? Can Ryan go further? Ryan yet to pit. He might be the last one out there that hasn't pit yet. Down through roller coaster and dives for pit lane. Okay, let's watch the blend here. Here's Richard. Coming down the straightaway. Rich is starting to move now. So he's got the momentum here. Richard's got the momentum. Where is Rich going to pop out? He is out in front of him. He's on the racetrack. He goes by Kevin, but not going to catch up with Rich. So Rich out front after the pit exchange, followed by Richard and Kevin. And there are 3 laps to go, folks. We are almost done with this one. And Rich Hibbs is at the point by almost 3 seconds. Can Richard close that gap? He's got just a few laps to do it. Followed by Kevin, Cantonio, Rick Wishon, Ryan Fry, Emmett Lindquist, myself, and Akio. As Brian calls it a night. Brian out of the race. As Akio gets by me here, we're going into turn 1. This is the battle for P7 on the racetrack. Akio. Back out at the point. Rich Hibbs still with that 3-second lead. Kevin trying to gain on the second place. Richard Wishon, Rick, Ryan, Emmett. Looks like there's a large gap between most of the drivers, myself and Akio, probably the closest on the track at the moment. Whoop, and that didn't last long. Oh, there I am. I'm still there. Through Oak Tree we go. Rick Wishon caught up to Uncle Don. And the 86 and the 23 have gotten close together here. That is Jeff Wyatt and Doug Wright as they go into turn one, a little wiggly, but they make it into turn one and through. Try to swing back to this battle. I think this one heats up here. Oh, there makes me a little bobble there. Going through hog pen. Alex Good and the 79 car running in P10 tonight as he crosses the stripe for 2 to go. 2 to go. Rich holding on, but that gap has closed down to 1.8 seconds. Now just 1 second between the top two drivers. So that gap is closed. Kevin has not been able to pull in too tight. Kevin's still back 1.8. Richard holding on to P2 pretty well, but he's going to try to go for this win as they're coming across for the final lap of the race here. This is going to be the last lap of the contest. Everybody's pretty much spread out on the racetrack. These two guys battling up in the front for the win. We'll keep an eye right up here at the front as these guys finish going around one more lap. Last lap, lap 15 of 15 of this race. Rich Hibbs out front, Richard Wishon in second spot as they go through the snake. Next up, the S's, and then South Bend, then Oak Tree. It goes by quickly. Rich, no mistakes. Can't make any mistakes. Richard is caught up to 0.4 of a second. When they come around Oak Tree, he is going to be close enough to use that draft to make a last-minute push on the final lap. This is the white flag lap. This is it. Here they go through Oak Tree. You'll see who gets out of there quicker. Looks like Rich has a better launch, but Richard is right there. He is close enough for that draft. Rich doing a little weaving back and forth, trying to get it so he can't get that much draft. And seeing that these cars are just little tubes, it's not that easy to draft with them. But it is there, and Richard pulls up to the back. And we'll see if he makes a dive for it as they drop into roller coaster. He does not. Thinks better of it, figures second place is better than last, as the two of them are still going at it. We'll see if Richard can make a run as they come off of the final corner. They're coming down through hog pen right now. Richard right there alongside. He's got a wheel alongside. They're side by side coming to the stripe. Who's going to have the win? It looks like it's going to be close as they're coming through. There's no way to tell at this point. It is Rich Hibbs taking the win, and that was less than 1/10 of a second. That was probably 100th of a second or less. Rich Hibbs takes the win. Richard Wishon in second spot. Kevin Cantonio, what a great finish. Kevin in third. Rick comes in fourth. We'll see where the other guys are. Here is our P5 driver. He's coming through hog pen right now. Coming across the start-finish line. And Ryan Fry is going to take P5. Emmett Lindquist coming around right behind him. He is in P6. And then we go back to myself, and somehow managed to save a P7 out of this race. I don't know how. It was a terrible sprint, but managed to regroup and pull it through for a 7th place finish, top 10 for the number 17. Followed by Brett Fay right there behind me, and Akio in P9 as he comes across the stripe as well. Gray Welch in the 19 is going to be the final car. Oh no, sorry, Vincent Tramontana in the 21 is going to be the final car on the lead lap. Vincent coming up the straightaway right now, long straight. Uncle Don has finished in P13. Pretty decent finish considering 18 cars on the racetrack. So Rich Hibbs, Richard Wishon, Kevin Cantonio, Rick Wishon, Ryan Fry, Emmett Lindquist, Ron Gaibo, Brett Fay, Akio Keo, Alex Good, Gray Welch, Vincent Tramontana comes across in 12th, Uncle Don, Doug Wright, Aunt Karen, Jeff Wyatt, Brian Beeman, and TJ Allman. That's your running order. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. This is Ron, of course, with Big Wizard TV. And as always, be safe out there. Don't race on the road. Race with us. We've got lots of room here on the racetrack. Big racetrack, small car. East to West Racing. Check us out. And the information is in the description. Give the show a like. And we'll see you guys on the next race. Have a good night, everybody.